over here. The meeting is being live
You don't.
streamed. Got it.
You're at my desktop. You don't see
Look at you.
the chat box. I'm moving around. You don't see that?
I see you got you. I see you moving it right now.
Okay, now I'm trying to figure out how to.
Now there's no option at the top that says that has a little chevron that you can pull down that says close or something like that.
Oh, it usually does when it's set on the side, but I don't know why it's independent. Well, just stick it over here.
That's all you can do. It's all you can do.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing right now.
Righty. And a good evening.
I just don't want it to have people's chat popping up on the stream while the presentation is going on.
I'll see if I can figure out something over here. But good evening to everybody else who's joining us. Good to see everybody tonight. Patrick Botts Forbes is coming to us from lovely Galveston, Texas right now, where it's like 99 degrees with 99%.
Oh, he's at the CERT conference.
Not much better in.
Oh.
Yes, he is. He is there, and he's representing. And represent what? I have no idea. I'm kidding.
Oh,
but he's representing. So it's 1 minute from the top of the hour. Patrick, he'll jump in probably a moment, but I will say that we'll probably give everybody about 5 minutes to keep tripping in because there are a few people who are coming in. So we'll give them until about 7:05, or unless Patrick widens it a little bit, and then we'll get ready to start at the top. So see everybody in a few minutes. Carolyn, any questions while we got a minute?
Yeah, good lotto numbers.
Yeah.
Be able to buy some more vehicles and supplies.
That would be nice.
I just spelled hello wrong.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know why it's floating like that.
I don't
All
know.
right. I'm now a co-host. Okay.
Okay. And let's see.
It's 7 o'clock. You want to start?
7 o'clock. We'll give them about 5 more minutes for everybody to come in.
We got 52 participants showing
so far, and knowing Patrick and his history of doing these things, there will be more coming in. So we'll give them about 5 more minutes, and then we'll get started at 7:05 right off the top. So we'll go from there. So Patrick, are you out there? Can you hear me?
He just went away.
Okay, guess he's leaving me the kingdom tonight. So, but we'll get started in about 5 minutes. So everybody settle in, and we're gonna have an exciting presentation tonight. So we'll be back at 7:05. So I'll be right back. Just gonna disappear for a quick minute.
If you want to take a look at Catalina, forget it. The ground cover clouds are quite high.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm driving with both hands on the vehicle. That's the speakers for, plus I got the video. So how you been doing?
Doing fine. Can't complain for an old lady.
I got 2 more months, I'll get older. How did that happen?
Yeah, well, we're lucky we live to get to be seniors. A lot of people don't.
Yeah. Well, I've passed 2 generations, but all the women always outlive the husbands.
That's because the husbands live dangerous lives.
I don't know, my father had a very hard time in World War II. He was in the West Indies getting drunk.
Yeah, husbands lead dangerous lives.
Yeah. I had one day in Vietnam more than his whole military career. Lucky for him. I know a few of the guys that were also very lucky not to get involved. They did their jobs for where they were at. That's what counted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't see the top of, no, yep. The very top of Catalina. Hawthorne Boulevard. Okay, I got it on. Plus wants to get in between me and a friend. I got to catch up with him. Cloud cover is about 5,000 feet high, roughly. Oh, it's a beautiful day.
Carolyn, there's a lot of open mics. Could you mute everyone when you begin your presentation? It's very distracting.
I can hear some background noise. Well, for the tip of Palos Verdes, the cloud cover is higher.
And good evening, everybody. It is now 7:05. It's 5 minutes after the 7 o'clock hour here in the West. It's good to see everybody. And I know we have a lot of people who are here from Los Angeles, but from many other places. And we welcome you folks to our monthly training. This is the CERT Neighborhood Team Program training for the month of August. And we are happy to have everybody here. Our speaker tonight will be Carolyn Burleson. And I know Carolyn very well because she has been with CERT for a long time. She was our education director. She was also the coordinator for our Central Bureau area and one of the most knowledgeable people I know. It's like, I don't even know half the stuff that she knows because she's got so much experience.
Oh, stop.
Okay, it's like, I don't get to praise you nearly enough, but, and for those of you who don't necessarily know me, my name is Chin Thomasangsi. I am the South Bureau Coordinator for the Community Emergency Response Team here in Los Angeles. And I've been in that role for a little while and enjoy it. And I'm also one of the directors of the Neighborhood Team Program as well. I will be serving as your host tonight. Patrick Botts Forbes, who is usually here with you, is currently in Galveston, Texas, attending the CERT convention, which many, I'm sure, of our CERT members are attending. So there you go. Couple of housekeeping issues I'd like to take care of before we even get started. And then once I'm done with that, we'll turn the floor over to Carolyn, who will take us through a great odyssey tonight. But first of all, everybody, if you can, mute yourself, because just as we saw in the last few minutes leading up to this, you hear a lot of background noise and a lot of conversations and all kinds of things going on. There are some things you may not want us to hear either. So remember to mute yourself during the presentation. And second of all, I will ask everybody, if you can, to hold back on asking questions. One of the things we'd like to do is end this thing on time so everybody can get out of here, especially you guys who are coming from different time zones where it's nearly 11 and 12 midnight out there. So if you guys can, please hold back on questions. And I guarantee that for many of the questions, if you just listen to the whole presentation from start to finish, some of the questions you have might be answered. So with that being said, good evening, everybody. And tonight's subject is Safe Seniors. And we're talking about the advanced subject of the type of people we deal with when we are out doing disaster assessments and responses. You'll know back in May, I believe it was May, that we had a presentation on dealing with folks with autism. And so we're kind of continuing that little, we're kind of continuing those advanced subjects as we go on here. Carolyn is here to talk to us tonight about how do we deal with the elderly, seniors in our community, of which there are many. And we're going to walk through that with her. So I won't steal too much of her thunder, but Carolyn, I'm going to turn it over to you and you can take it right from here.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Glad that you're here. And Shin, why am I seeing your face still?
Because I'm fantastic.
Okay. Says speaker view, I should see mine. Anyway, hello, everyone. Glad to have you here, and thanks for joining us. I'm going to be speaking to you as a senior. I'm 80 years old and have been in CERT for quite some time. As Shin said, I am a former Central Bureau coordinator. I retired from that in 2020, and Patrick took it over, and he's doing a fantastic job. I'm really proud of him. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started with the presentation. And if you do have questions, just hold off till the end and then I'll be happy to address them. Okay? Now, this is the one I want to share. I'm going to put this, and I'm going to hide this. Okay. All right, here we go. Safe seniors. I was trying to hide these, hide video panel. Okay, it doesn't hide. All right, anyway, we'll go from here. As seniors, we get older, we're more subject to be losing our balance. I had a fall just last year and broke my wrist in 2 places. Anyway, and so we just have to be careful to avoid falls. And there's ways that you can do that. We're going to go over that a little bit. First of all, exercise. We need to get as much exercise as we can to strengthen our muscles and to improve our balance so that we don't fall down so easily. I'm one of those who falls easily. And I have a crazy leg. And if I lose my balance, if I get off balance, I'll go down and then somebody has to pick me up. So I'm going to try not to do that. Okay. Ask your doctor about the best exercise for you, because we can't all do the same exercises, even though we would like to. We get over the spirit is willing, but the body is not so willing. So find out what's best exercise for you. For most seniors, the best exercise is just walking. And that's a good exercise for us. Okay, take your time getting up. I don't know how many of you have had the experience of jumping up and then finally finding yourself being dizzy. That's because your blood pressure drops when you stand up, especially if you stand up quickly. And that might make you dizzy. So take your time getting up, sit for a moment when you get out of bed before you jump up, and then stand for a moment before you start walking. That way you keep your balance, and of course be aware of what's going on around you. And if there are any objects on the floor that you might be having to trip over. Okay. Things on the stairs. If you have grandchildren, you probably have toys and stuff laying around on the stairs, all over the floor and everything else if they're over your house. So that's something to be conscious of. Just keep the stairways clean and keep your walkways clear so that you don't trip over things. Improve lighting always inside and outside your home. Use night lights or flashlight. They actually make canes that have a flashlight attached to it. A friend of mine had bought one for her mother. I thought that was a cool idea. So if they get up in the nighttime to go to the bathroom or whatever, you can see your way where you're going. So turn on the light before you use the stairs, and make sure you get your eyes examined once a year at least, just to make sure that your vision is in good shape, or if it needs to be corrected, to get new glasses or have cataract surgery. I had that a couple of months ago too, so my eyes are seeing better now. Use non-slip mats in your bathtub or in the shower. You notice this chair up in the corner. I have a shower chair like that I keep in my shower, so I can wash myself, and then I can use the handles to stand up and get me up. And then if you have can have bars installed in your shower, that will be good. In the city of Los Angeles Department of Aging, they will install these bars for you if you need to have them. So that's something to consider. And also, if you need special toilet seats, they have raised toilet seats with handles that help you stand up. So there's something, all of those are good for seniors to have. Good grab bars and so anything that will help you stand up and be without falling. And of course, if you spill anything, make sure it gets wiped up quickly so you don't slip. Be aware of uneven surfaces. That's how I fell down last time. I had these slippers that were scuffing, and I wasn't picking up my feet, and they got caught on a mat, and down I went. Anyway, but just be careful with that. If you have throw rugs, try to put some what do they call those things? Some non-skid pads underneath the rugs to keep it from sliding, so you don't fall down. And of course, if you're outside, be careful with the sidewalks if they're uneven, and always use the handrails if they're available. Oh, it went back. I want to go forward. Okay. On the stairs, to make sure you have something to hold on to, a handrail on both sides. And if the handrail is there, be sure to hold on to it so you don't, it helps you keep yourself steady. The shoes that you wear around your house and outdoors should be well-fitted, low-heeled shoes. Of course, by the time you get to my age, you're not wearing high heels anymore. And of course, to keep you from sliding, your sole should be non-skid. They're safer than high heels, and thick soles. Athletic shoes with those thick soles aren't as safe as just plain low sole shoes with a good non-skid soles. Okay. Next to your bed, what I keep next to my bed, and you can see from this picture, first of all, landline phone. So if I need to make an emergency call, I have a line phone. I also keep my cell phone on a stand next to my bed too, but I have the landline too. Any kind of meds that you need, water, and I have a help okay sign. You've heard about that. That's underneath the basket there with my meds. Inside this plastic bag, I have sturdy shoes, a helmet, goggles, N95 mask, work gloves, flashlight, whistle, and fire extinguisher. All of that, because we live in California, we live in earthquake country. And if there's an earthquake and you're in bed, you want to have something right by close that you can grab to protect yourself before you start moving around. So I keep that in a plastic bag, and it's tied to the little stand here. In the black bag I had a great big backpack that I have all packed up full of stuff for a go bag. But if I'm by myself, there's nowhere in the world I'm going to be able to carry that bag. So I have a smaller bag that I have bare essentials. I have extra pair of glasses. I have hearing aid batteries because I wear hearing aids. I've got some extra AA batteries, a couple of snacks, a little first aid kit, a life straw. That's a straw that you can drink water from, and it filters, it purifies the water that you're drinking through, and a light stick, a flashlight, and a whistle, some toiletries, a jacket, emergency contacts, and some cash. All of that in that little bag. This one I can manage. The big backpack, if my son's not here to carry it for me, I couldn't manage that, but I can manage this one, so I keep it there. And I keep my cane next to my bed too, as well, and a reaching tool, because sometimes you have to get to stuff that you can't bend down to get to. And there's a pair of crutches back there, but that's from another time, but I keep them just in case. Okay, be sure to sign up with the LA, Notify LA. That's where you get the information in emergencies, and you go to emergency.lacity.org/notify LA and get your name on their roll, so they will be able to call you and notify you if there's any kind of emergency and some specific information that they need to push out to the public. All right, what do we need to do as seniors when planning for our emergency? I just put together a little checklist here that we'll go over. Our kits usually include just standard supplies like everybody else, non-perishable food, drinking water, batteries, and first aid kit, and the like. But if you're an elder, a senior citizen, or you have an elder person that you're taking care of, or a disabled person, or one of your neighbors that are close by, there are other special considerations that need to go into play. First of all, mobility aids. If your elder has limited mobility or is bedbound or wheelchair, you have to make a detailed plan on how to get them out and around if they have to evacuate. That's important. Planning ahead is important. So make sure you sit down with your elder and make a plan on how you will get that person out if they need to evacuate. If your senior uses a motorized wheelchair, you should have a manual one on hand, because those motorized wheelchairs are very, very heavy. And a manual one, you can get them around faster, and it doesn't require a battery. So that you should have that as a backup. Durable medical equipment. That's something that a lot of seniors have. I myself have a rollator walker that I use. That I keep in my car. I use a cane to get up and down the steps because I live on the second floor. But when I go walking, I use my rollator. Most emergency shelters, if you find yourself having to go to a shelter, they don't carry that durable medical equipment. So if you need something, you have to make sure you bring it with you. So if you use oxygen and you need that, you have to bring that with you. If your senior needs that, make sure you bring it with you. Canes, walkers, rollators, CPAP devices. Many people have that sleep apnea problem, and they use a CPAP device to help them sleep. So if you need something like that, be sure to bring it with you. Any specialized cushions you might need to prevent skin breakdown. So just make sure that you or your loved one have what they need. Whenever you evacuate, you take what you need with you, because wherever you end up, they may not have it. Visual aids. For a person who's blind or visually impaired, keep an extra cane next to the bed and attach a whistle to it. It's important because if you find yourself get stuck somewhere or trapped somewhere, if there's an earthquake or something, you need a whistle. You can't shout loud enough to be heard, and trying to shout only makes you inhale dust. So having a whistle, the sound will go much further, and more people will be able to hear you, know where you are. I keep a whistle and a little flashlight in every room of my house. I have one, just a small flashlight and a whistle attached to it on a lanyard. And I have one in the kitchen, in the living room, in both bedrooms, in the bathroom, both bedrooms, everywhere. So wherever I am, if I need to, I'll be able to find my way around and signal for help. Include an extra pair of glasses if they need glasses, any necessary visual aids that they may need, and make sure that you exercise caution when moving around. After an earthquake, there's always stuff lying around on the floor that you could trip over or cut your feet on or anything like that. So you need to have on sturdy shoes, and you need to be able to be careful when you're moving around, especially a person who has a visual disability. Personal care sanitation supplies. Lots of seniors use specific types of personal hygiene things for comfort. If you have incontinence supplies, adult breath pads, wet wipes, barrier creams, catheter, ostomy supplies, all of these are things that you might not need, but your senior may. So if they have something like that, make sure that they have it, and they have it ready to bring with them if they need to evacuate. That's important. Bathing products, non-latex gloves, toilet paper, commode liners, all of these things are things that help the senior be as comfortable as possible in an emergency situation. If they wear hearing aids, you make sure you have extra batteries for your hearing aids, and keep the hearing aids in a place, in a container, in a designated space that you keep it all the time, the same place, so that the senior knows where to get it and they don't have to go searching for it. They know where to look for it, and you know where to look for it to find if you need it for them. And make sure you have extra batteries in your emergency supplies as well. This thing is in my way. ID, legal information, and health information. Keep your ID cards, your driver's license, and health documents. Copies are important to have if you have to evacuate. I would recommend putting a copy on a flash drive and putting that in your emergency kit, so that you'll have that information if you need it. Any insurance papers, power of attorney, advance directives, and a list of all your meds. That's important too. A list of all your medications, and preferably with the prescription numbers if you have to get it refilled. If you're away from home and you need to get a prescription refill, you should have a list of what medications you take and the prescription numbers. And if you must evacuate, bring copies of the deed or at least to your home, insurance policies, family pictures, and pictures of your home contents. Put all of that on a flash drive and put it in your emergency kit. Keep it with you. I went back, didn't I? Okay. Prescription medications. That's something important to know, that keep at least a week's supply of all prescription medication. An extra week, you could get your doctor to prescribe it for you. And I believe they allow you to do once a year just to get an extra supply, like if you're going on vacation or something, without having the doctor to prescribe an extra one. They allow you to do that just once a year. But make sure that you do that so you have your extra supply with you. Keep in mind that prescription over-the-counter medications have a shelf life. They usually last past the date of the expiration date. You don't have to throw them away right that date, because they may lose their potency somewhat, but they'll still do the job if they're a little past the expiration date. But I wouldn't keep them more than a year past the expiration date. Rotate them out and dispose of any expired medications in your emergency kit, because you need to check that out every now and then anyway. First aid, keep a first aid kit and a manual in your emergency supplies, and take a first aid course so you know what to do with the things in that first aid kit. That's important too. And establish a communication plan. A list of all the important phone numbers of family, friends, local shelters, aid organizations, anything that you find that you may need to communicate, you should have a list of it, and you should have it not only on your phone, but you should have a written copy somewhere too in your emergency kit, because if your phone goes dead, then where would the numbers be? And seniors, we don't not so good at remembering numbers like we used to. So and you may not be, even if you're not a senior. So make sure you have those numbers on your phone, but make sure you also have them written down and put that in your emergency kit. And then from your family, if you are separated from your family, just determine in advance is the important operative word, a safe place that you can all meet if travel is feasible. Okay, and keep in mind that the roads may be unsafe and internet and phone lines may be down. They may or may not be down. You don't know for sure. And if they are, you might not be able to make that communication. If you have a ham radio license, you can probably contact someone through that and get a message through. Or if you know someone who has a ham radio license, they can send messages for you, but you want to be as self-sufficient as you possibly can. Okay. All right, coordinate emergency planning with other health providers. If your senior has someone who like comes to the house to give care for them, or if they live in a long-term care facility, you have to ask them at what point will they not be able to provide that service. Okay, so if someone comes to your house to clean your house or to help you feed you or do whatever they might come to do, or help with your meds or whatever, you have to know whether they're going to be able to come if there's a disaster, and at what point should you expect them not to be able to be there, and make plans accordingly. And if they live in a long-term care facility, you need to find out what their emergency plan is and how they plan to provide for the seniors in a disaster, and how they plan to evacuate if they need to. So find out all of that information before you need it. Many seniors have suffered with the Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. Their mind is just not as clear as it used to be. And just know that even people who have cognitive impairments, they have a sense of what's going on, that something's wrong, and they may be very fearful. So explain to them as easy as you can how what's happening and what they need to do. Don't get irritated with them if they get irritable. Don't get irritated or impatient if they don't understand quite what you're saying. But take your time and explain what they do and move them as quickly as possible if you need to move them. Remember again, planning. Can't stress how important that is, that you make a plan with your family, with your seniors, with your caregivers, with everybody that's involved in being associated with keeping that person well and safe. And these are just not only are they practical things to do, but they give you peace of mind and make you calmer if you have a plan on what to do, so you won't be caught yourself in a dangerous situation and don't know how to get out of it. And some resources for seniors. We have home safety caregivers. These are all good resources you could do. There's for those of you who are CERT people, this particular one, the 5th edition, tips on responders, tips for first responders dealing with people with disability. I'm going to bring that up just so you can take a look at it, because that you should get a copy of that, because that's important. Okay, they give you tips for seniors, for people with service animals, for people with mobility impairments, people with autism, people with deaf or hard of hearing, blind and visually impaired, cognitive disability, people with multiple chemical sensitivity, people who are mentally ill, childbearing women, people with seizure disorders, and people with brain injuries. All these are people that you may come across in a disaster, and you might need to help them in some way. So I would advise everybody to get themselves a copy of this. It's called Tips for First Responders. This is a 5th edition. They might have a 6th edition out by now. I'm not sure, but it's a very good resource. Okay. And other sources, the CERT community, of course, community emergency response team. Things, remembering what to do with older adults. Earthquake Country Alliance gives a lot of good information for everyone, including seniors and people with disabilities. MySafe LA has a special mission to assist elder people. They work with children and they also work with senior citizens, so to keep them safe. So that's a good resource to get information. And of course, Pet Services, animal preparedness, if they have a service animal. All right, I am about done. And now ready to take any questions you may have.
And
Nobody didn't go run through that too quickly, but that's the basics.
No, Carolyn, that was a fantastic presentation. This is where it gets good for everybody, and we're going to start taking questions of everybody. So please raise your hands, your virtual hand or your real hand, whichever one you prefer, and I will recognize you. And I'm going to recognize right off the top Rita Bertrand, who I do know. Take yourself off mute and feel free to ask your question.
Good evening, everyone. The resource pages that have been displayed, is it possible that they be put in the chat so we may copy them? Or have them?
I guess I can. Okay, I can do that one by one, I guess. I think I can. I can't put the actual page, but I could.
If you cut and paste, you could probably put it in the chat.
Yeah, okay. I'll see. I'll try to do that for you.
Thank you.
Stand by.
And if not, we'll do our very best to get everybody, at least a copy of this.
Yeah.
So, we'll take it from there. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, that would be better. Okay.
Absolutely.
Family vacations right.
Are there any other questions out there?
With their dad, famed director Ron Howard. I have this.
And I'm going to.
Somebody has an open. Can somebody mute that person, please?
I am working on that right now.
This is Johnny. Thank you
Catherine
very much.
Vasquez.
Okay, and there we go. Thank you for muting. And are there any other questions out there?
If you have a question, you have to unmute yourself.
And, here's a great question that I'm looking at. Oscar, I'll take you in just a moment, but I'll throw this question out, which I do see in the chat, which is pretty neat. The question is basically, how do you cool unused insulin if you don't have power? Now, Carolyn, I would assume you might be able to put it in an ice chest or something like that, but what is the answer to that question?
Yeah, I don't use insulin, so I know that you have to keep it refrigerated. Yeah, so you have to plan for that as well. There are the things that are like shaped like bricks that you can put in your freezer and freeze them. And then if you need to take insulin, you should have like one of those little insulated bags like you carry your lunch in, and put that brick in there. Once it's frozen, it will keep the insulin cool for a number of hours. I'm not sure exactly how many, but quite a few hours it'll stay cool. That's one way to do it. If you don't have a generator to keep your refrigerator going, then that's another thing. But just something as easy as an ice brick, that you can freeze it and put it in one of those insulated bags with your insulin if you have to take it with you to wherever you happen to be evacuating to. It'll keep it cool for several hours.
And Carolyn, I'll jump in on this too and say to everybody here, this is one of those perfect questions where you're going to be reminded that before the disaster happens, connect with your neighbors, because many of your neighbors will have generators. They will have coolers and different things like that. And if neighbors understand what other neighbors' needs are, they can be mobilized to help
Yes.
you in time of definite need. So again, Carolyn's presentation started off not even really talking about a disaster, but what you can do to prep yourself. This is one thing you should do. Get with your neighbors, start formulating a plan, which includes who has what, who has a refrigerator that's going to work, on a generator, or who has a generator that can do whatever it is, and make those plans way ahead of time.
Way ahead
Chair?
of time.
Mr. Chair,
Mhm. And
I do use insulin, and you at least want to get this right.
Mhm.
I would suggest that if you do have a question, talk to the pharmacist, because insulin will typically last pretty well at room temperature. I've carried the pens on airplanes, and 24 hours later stick it in the refrigerator. And whether it has been opened or not is an issue. So what you don't want to do is stick it in the freezer, I don't believe, because it is a polypeptide. You don't want to denature it. So like I said, ask the pharmacist before you get all freaky about it, because the stuff is pretty stable.
That's good to know.
And Bob brings up another good point, which is something you do in the prep. You ask those questions of your doctors, your pharmacists, and everybody involved, just like you would for anything else. So great comment, Bob. And I'm going to turn over to Oscar Portillo. You have a question. Unmute yourself and ask that question.
Yes, hi everybody. I don't necessarily have a question. I just have a statement. This was a really, really good training program. I gained a lot of valuable information. Caroline, thank you very, very much for that. The main thing I do like about what you said was the part about putting the important documents on a USB drive and putting that into your emergency kit. That's a brilliant idea. I remember when I took the CERT program years ago, we were told for like important documents to get like a fire resistant type bag and put that in your freezer and put like your passport and your kids' birth certificates if you have some, and whatever important documents. So to put that in a USB drive and put that in your kit, that was a brilliant idea. So thank you very, very much for this program. You did a fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you.
I told you Carolyn was good. She is one of our all-star people out here, and that's why we enjoy having her here tonight. I'm going to turn over to Sherman Shapiro. Come up and ask your question.
Actually, it's a comment. I know at the beginning they talked about exercise and walking, but it's also been shown that you really need to keep your strength up. Like a 16-ounce bottle of water weighs 2 pounds. You can use that to do light weights, and that's recommended for seniors. But you should check with your doctor.
Yes, that's a good idea. And always also, I did mention that the need to be hydrated, that you have to make sure you have enough water on hand, because water is one of the essentials of life. You need that to keep hydrated. If you get dehydrated, you're going to get weak and you're going to get dizzy and everything. And mind working as well. All right, here's some Daryl Nagy.
All right, and somebody's getting a little bit of somebody's getting some feedback back there. So if somebody can do a little mute on that, because we're getting a little feedback. And I think we got it. I think, was that Daryl who had the feedback going?
He had his hand up.
Okay. And Daryl, come on back and you can ask your question. But while he's doing that, and I will come back to you, Daryl, one of the great points that you made was to rotate meds each time you get a refill. And one of the participants, Kathy Reese, stated that was a really good reminder. So,
Yeah.
Daryl, I see you.
Yes, I asked my pharmacist about the insulin life. And what she said, she would be worried more about contamination, like leaving the needle on or something like that and getting dirty or something like that, than she would be worried about it deteriorating. Somebody else here has mentioned that insulin will last for 28 days at 59 to 86 degrees. And I think if you keep insulin at sort of what I would call, that's kind of like room temperature and a little warm, insulin will be fine as long as it doesn't get cloudy. As long as you don't get it fogged, it doesn't get fogged up or frozen, which would indicate that you shouldn't use it. You can keep insulin for quite a while.
That's good to know. Thank you for that.
And Carolyn, a question from the moderator here, or the host, or whatever they're calling me tonight. A question for you, as you know, I'm sure you talked about it. I'm sure you talked about it to a certain degree during your presentation, but if you can expound on it. For those of us who are CERT members who will be responding into our neighborhoods after we've checked ourselves, our family, our immediate surroundings, etc., what are the things you recommend that we as CERT members continue to educate ourselves about and incorporate into our drills and practices? What would you recommend as a person who is a senior, a person who is a member of CERT, etc.? What do we need to know to become better at what we do, especially when it comes to seniors?
You need to know how to communicate with seniors. Some seniors we slow down a lot as we get older. Okay, just like I'm doing right now. Right now, we slow down a lot as we get older, and we not only slow down in our physical movement, our brains don't work as fast as they used to. I know from my own experience, my brain doesn't work. I'm pretty clear, but I used to be a lot faster than I am now. But you need to know how to communicate and be patient when you're working with seniors, because sometimes we're gripey. If we're in pain, we're gripey. You see, if we don't understand what's going on, we may not cooperate with you. You see, and so you have to be careful and be patient and explain to them what's happening and why they need to leave their home. So lots of time a senior will be reluctant to leave their home. And if there's an emergency and they need to get out, you need to be able to explain it to them and be patient with them, and at the same time get them out as quickly as possible. So that's something to consider. Practice with your elders. Talk to your elders, everybody. You got people around you. If you don't have your own parents or grandparents, you got elders in your neighborhood that talk to them, ask them what they need. And if you want to help somebody, anybody, if somebody with disability, you want to ask them what they need before you just jump in to help. And unless it's a life or death situation, you get them out quickly. But I like, just for instance, I use a cane to get up and down the steps. I'd rather use my handrail and my cane to get myself up and down the steps than to have somebody hold on to me, because I don't feel steady when somebody else is moving at the same time I'm moving. So I wouldn't want you to come up and just grab my arm and try to help me up the steps without asking me first if I need help. That's the kind of thing you do, because it's just I feel more comfortable holding on to the rail because it won't move, and holding on to my cane because another person is moving too, and that doesn't make me feel safe when I'm holding on to something that's moving. It's just something as simple as that. So always ask the person what they need. How can you help before you just jump in to help? That's the important thing. Another thing is they have any kind of assistive device, and they have to make sure that you take it with them. Make sure they carry the meds with them. They carried the cane with them if they need it. They have walker, whatever they need. Okay, because wherever they're going, they might not have it there. You know, and it might be just the thing that keeps them from being disabled. You know, whatever assistive device that keeps them abled. If they don't have it, they'll be disabled. So that's an important thing to do.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And for those of you who know me very well, my mother is also going through the process of dementia. Not a secret among me and my circle, and even my CERT people. One of the things I have learned over the years is also start working with your team and your neighbors and everything to identify those people who may have particular ailments, like my own mother. Let's say, because I still work, so I have to be away from the home from time to time. My caregiver is always there, but I'm not around. So everybody has to remember that one of the most important things we do as community emergency response team members is to profile our neighborhoods. Part of the plan. Know everybody who's in the neighborhood. As Patrick would say as he was here, you need to know who the latchkey kids are who are home during the day. You need to know who the elders are who have physical issues. You also need to know who those people are who have mental or cognitive issues. My mom would definitely fit into that category. And one of the things that I'm always reminded of, and Carolyn, you mentioned it, is patience.
Yes.
And I can tell you from a person who has dealt with a parent going down that journey of dementia, when it first happens, you're not understanding what's going on here, and you can be impatient. You can even be mean at times. I just say, because I know what has happened with myself, and people I know around me are going through that same process. So one of the things I would recommend too, and Carolyn, if you can expound on those things, get to know your neighbors in your neighborhood, know who they are, what they're going through, because it'll take you through less stress when you're trying to help them during a disaster.
Exactly.
So
yeah, the more information you have, the better you can handle the situation. That's it. The better you can plan, the more information you have, the better you can plan ahead for a situation. So yeah, get to know your neighbors, get to know your own family elders, anyone that you know around you who has any kind of disability, and talk to them. The best thing to do is talk to those people around you and find out from them what kind of help they may need. They will tell you. Okay, they will let you know what kind of help they need. But don't ever just jump in and grab them. That's the last thing you do. If a person is in a wheelchair, don't grab his wheelchair. Just don't touch their devices without asking them first. That's the thing.
And Carolyn, it's like I think I see where this is going in my own head because I'm processing this information. But just as we would do when we come up on a patient, somebody's got a broken arm on the side of the road, one, ask them, can I treat you? And two, while you're treating them, tell them what you're doing.
Exactly.
You might have to do that with those seniors. You might
exactly.
Have to say, hey, we're going to push you forward. We're going to take you down these stairs. It's going to be a little bumpy. You might have to talk them through that entire situation to keep them calm and letting them know what you're doing.
Exactly. Talk to them all the time while you're helping them so they understand what's going on.
Exactly. And I see a hand over there from the fantastic, ever supercalifragilistic Sally Thompson from Battalion 10.
Oh, hi, Sally.
Carolyn. Chin. Well, thank you for that, Chin. Right back at you. I just want to thank you and Chin, but Carolyn, this was fantastic. It was incredible information and valuable. And this really needed to be done. That's something that really seems to have not really gone into this much detail before. So this is great. And hopefully we'll be hearing more from you, and just thank you so much. And Chin as well. That's all I got.
Well, thank you, Sally. I'm glad you find it useful. That's my whole purpose. As I get older, I can't do as much for CERT like I used to. So I can still present information if I have it, share information. So I'm glad to be able to do this. Thank you.
You were incredible when you did the Stop the Bleed. You know, you were still doing that, and it was incredible, and such detail too. So we need you and your all your valuable information you got up there in your head, and you just do it well. So thanks again.
You better take advantage of it while it's still there.
It'll be there for a while.
I got
Well,
you.
yeah. One thing you let me just say something about seniors. Those of you who are seniors or approaching seniors, do everything that you can to keep your mind active, because right now that's the only thing I have left that works. You know, that's the truth of the matter. My body is not doing so well, but my mind is still active, and I'm constantly in learning mode. Every day I tell my son I learn something new every day to make up for the things that I forget. So take time to keep your mind active, learn something new, find something interesting for you, and learn how to do it, and keep on. I'm working on the Spanish lessons. I'm doing Duolingo every day. I do a lesson with that, and I'm doing stuff on my computer and with a ham radio, and just find something that interests you and keep working at it. Keep your mind active. Okay, I'm done.
Absolutely. And I understand that there is a question from David Demule. David, do you want to come up and unmute yourself and ask your question?
Okay, can you hear me?
We got
Yes.
you.
Good. Over the years, both as a first responder and CERT, we've run into a situation that seems like everything that seems normal gets complicated by two-story houses, townhouses, things like that.
Mhm.
And now I ran into a safety officer, and he hit me with his statement. He says, "Doc, you don't take a victim to an accident."
There you
And
go.
it boils down to, you've got somebody our age on the second floor. How are you going to get them down? You don't have a stretcher. The wheelchair is not going to make it. You're going to have alternative mobility, such as 2 broomsticks and a blanket, and you can roll them onto it, and you and one other person can get them down the stairs. You need to be prepared for, like, how are we going to get them out of there? And what also is your situational awareness? What's happening? Is the place on fire?
All right.
Is there a possibility of it collapsing? Can you get 2 people down the stairs with your victim? This is something you have to know.
You're absolutely right. I think about that often because I live on the second floor and it's a walk up. There's no elevator. It's a walk up. And I think about that if something happened and I couldn't get down the steps and my son's not here, who's going to help me to get out, you know? So yeah, that's something, again, planning ahead. Always. That's why it's important to plan ahead. The more things you think about, the more things you can think that you need to plan for. So just that idea of using a blanket and broomstick, that's helpful to me right now. So yeah, think about how would you get someone down the steps if you needed to.
Absolutely.
So if they're in a wheelchair, those wheelchairs are heavy.
Yeah.
They're very heavy, you know, especially those motorized wheelchairs, but you should have a hand push one too, that you can collapse, one of those fold up ones that you can use. You wouldn't push them down the steps in it unless you had somebody really strong to hold them. But once they get down there.
And Carolyn, I would say, and Anna Gambo, I do see your hand up. I'm coming to you next. But Carolyn, I will say that, and these are things I'm thinking about. We as CERTs need to diversify the way we do our exercises.
Yeah.
You know, we always do the exercises always with the dummy. That's usually a young guy or something like that. And we don't always work with those situations that we could actually run into in real life.
Right.
We probably need to do more diversification. And really, it's interesting when we start talking about this, because if we started doing a lot of the unlikely, the likely situations we don't think of, we'd have exercises for days to do. And we probably should look at doing exercises that maybe one quarter deals with dealing with the elderly and those things, dealing with those who have mental issues like our folks with autism.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe that's something else to place in our minds to start diversifying our exercises.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we're a cross section of society, and you'll find more elders that are alive and well. We didn't used to live this long. I'm grateful that I lived to be 80, and I feel like I might live to be 90, but I don't know for sure. Yeah, but we're living longer these days. And so you're having more elders that you may deal with, and the older we get, the more disabilities you may encounter also. So, and then there are young people, of course, that also have disabilities. So we need to learn how to deal with those things. That's important. It's important to drill with it so that people get used to handling people with disabilities, to assisting. I won't say handling, I'll say assisting people with disabilities.
And Carolyn, I'll go one step further and remind everybody that all of us who are sitting here on this call right now, we're all getting older too.
Yes.
One day we're going to be those folks who are going to be on the receiving end of that assistance. If we can learn what we can learn about it, we can pass that knowledge on to a whole next generation of rescuers who could be who could be coming through our doors to rescue us. So just a thought there, folks.
Yeah.
And Anna Gamboa, you have been sitting there patiently. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, it's more of a comment. I was thinking about a lot of the elderly people and people with disabilities have caregivers. Some of them are live-in and some of them are people that come through the house, during the day at different times. And so when we do our inventory of who's in the neighborhood, who needs what, we definitely need to take these people into consideration and talk with them.
Absolutely.
And also if something happens and that person is there, definitely bring them in to the loop and keep them with that person if you can, because these people know more about this particular individual than any of us could ever gather in terms of their needs and everything. They already know how to get that person down those stairs. They do it when they take them to the doctor. So they are an invaluable resource, absolutely a treasure trove.
And Anna, I'm going to kind of jump in on that back end of your comment, because as I said earlier, it's like I have a mother who's going through dementia. She has a caregiver, and I will admit that caregiver actually knows infinitely more, has a lot more intimate knowledge of what her needs are and the things she's going through, how to lift, etc. And so definitely when you're in those neighborhoods, and we've done it in my neighborhood, my neighbors know my caregiver. They know who she is and they've known her for years. So definitely I agree. We need to bring those caregivers into that loop. So it makes all the sense in the world. So.
Yeah. And just remember, though, there may be a time that your caregivers can't get to the person. Or if the caregiver has their own family, they may want to, if it's a disaster, they may want to leave and go to their own family, take care of their own family. Just think about that. So find out as much information as you can from the caregiver. So if the caregiver isn't there, you'll be able to help as well.
I completely agree. And I saw a hand up from my good friend, Mitch Jacobus. Mitch, if you still got a question, come on up and ask that question.
No, Carolyn just answered it exactly on key. There is that caregivers will have their own families. They might not be there. They might have to leave. So Carolyn just spot on, Carolyn.
Okay.
God bless the caregivers. They do an amazing job, but they also have their families. So
yes,
we have to take that into consideration. So that's why I took my hand down, because Carolyn just hit it on the nail.
Good.
See?
Yeah, but find out, talk to the caregiver and find out. They may know more than you do, so find out from them. So if they're not there, you'll be able to assist.
And absolutely, they are fantastic for that, pre-disaster intel you need.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it is pre-disaster intel.
And write it down.
Yep.
Write it down. Write down the information so you'll have it when you need it. And if you're not there, somebody else will have it when they need it.
Absolutely. And I'm looking at the boards to see if there are any other questions out there. Does anybody have a question they want answered?
And may I say something?
Is
Orlando? Hi, Orlando.
Orlando, is that you with your hand up over there? Well, go on and
Not
say,
really.
go on
I
and say that thing you
raised my
say.
hand. May I please add something to your conversation?
Absolutely, sir.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I would like to say and add a little bit to what Carolyn said in regards with approaching them or trying to help them without their permission. I guess as we grow older, we grow up to be a little bit insecure because our muscles do not act the way that they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the self-confidence goes away. So when we approach them without their permission and try to help them without them agreeing to it, they seem to become defensive because we, by touching them or helping them without their permission, we are making them feel inadequate.
Oh, yeah.
We're making them feel like they are less capable. So therefore, they do not like to be touched.
Mm-hmm.
We should not rush to help them when we feel that they need help, because in their mind, they have a world of their own. They already have routines established as to what to do in certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
So we should respect that. And
yes,
very sensitive as to how we talk to them, how we offer our help and help them only if they agree to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Great point, Orlando. And we do have to remember that we do have to allow everybody to do what they do with dignity. And really, that's what it's all about. And giving them a choice
mm-hmm.
to do these things. We think many times as responders that, we're going to come in and we're going to handle this. We're going to handle it. We like to come in and pick up things. That is not the way to go.
No.
And we find that out all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not the way to go. And seniors, we like to be independent, just like you do, but some things we're not as independent as we used to be, but let them be as independent as they're able to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you ask if you need help, they'll tell you if they need help, and ask them, not only do you need help, but how may I help you? Because, the way you might be wanting to give help might not be what the kind of help they need.
Exactly.
So always ask how I may help you, and ask permission. And then you go from there.
And, one thing I'll say to all of our CERT responders out here is one of the biggest things you can benefit from is, no matter whether in Los Angeles or New York or Florida or wherever it is, take some time and watch your local responders at work. You will actually see them do just these types of things
Mm-hmm.
that are being discovered. You never see them come in and just, kind of bogart their way in there. They always come in and they always ask. They always say, hey, tell me how you want to make this happen, and we could all definitely benefit from watching our first responders in action and incorporating those processes into what we do. So just a thought out there. I see a hand up. I actually saw two hands. I'm going to go with Sue Ellen, and Rick, if you're out there, I will call on you in just a moment. But Sue Ellen, go ahead.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice evening. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I was wondering if you have any suggestions on how to deal with seniors who refuse to leave without their pets.
without their pets.
Mhm.
Let them bring their pets. Their pets are considered a pets an assistive device.
100.
Because for many seniors, a pet is a emotional assistant, even if it's not a physical assistant. A pet that considered a pet an assistive device. That's what you do.
The pet ran away and hid. Couldn't find it.
Oh, the pet ran away, and that's another question.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah, and they don't leave without them.
leave without. Have you ever run into that, and how would you handle it?
No, I haven't run into that, and I don't know how to handle that. To be honest with you, I'm going to say I don't know. Yeah, I was going to say if they have the pet, bring it with them. But if they can't find the pet, that's another issue.
You know, and Carolyn, you know, guide me on this. I would say if let's say I'm out in the field right now and something were going on, and a situation where we had to, you know, get somebody out of a particular area for whatever reason, they didn't want to leave without their pet. You know, we're going to have to work with them and just really assure them that we're going to try to do whatever we can to find that pet. But it would be, you know, for them and their safety, it would be good if we could get them out of there. But that's probably the best we could do. Carolyn, I know it's speculation, but you're a veteran of this stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, just exactly what you said. If you talk to them, of course, like we always say, talk to them. And if it's a life or death situation and they really need to leave, then you just have to convince them they really need to leave, and you're going to do what you can to find the pets. Firefighters are notorious for finding pets. They treat them so well. They give them oxygen and everything. It's lovely to see, but they take the time to find the animals that the patient may have to leave behind, and but you have to make sure the human life, get the person, if it's a matter of life and death, get the person out of there as best you can, as quickly as you can, and just try to assure them that you're going to try to find the pet as well.
The way I finally handled it was to tell them that the pet's going to need them when this is all over, and you need to make yourself safe.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it really is it's almost like de-escalation in many cases. It's, you know, cutting through and really cutting into to like their logic centers and say, you know what, you're right on that. And you did a great job on that one.
Thank you.
And I saw a question from Rick Wood. Rick Wood, I saw your hand up. If you still have a question, unmute yourself and ask that question.
For me, it's much more of a comment.
Go for it.
It goes back to dealing with caregivers. I worked for several years as a hospice and a home care nurse.
Mm-hmm.
We all have documentation that we keep for the client, and it's very confidential stuff. However, those charts are extremely important when it comes to continuity of care when somebody is medically quite seriously compromised. So sitting down with the client's family, and oneself, with everybody's permission, find out where that documentation is and make sure that that goes with the patient. When I was doing home health care and adult daycare, one of the things that we did anytime that there was a medical emergency and 911 was called and the fire department was coming, somebody was assigned to make copies of critical parts of the chart, and that went with the client all the way through until they were returned to the building. That's how important that continuity is. So
excellent.
It's just something to keep in mind.
Excellent. Continuity of care. That's important. Remember that term, Shin. Continuity of care. When you're dealing with your neighborhood team programs, find out where the documents are kept, and the family should know where the documents are kept, and make sure the family if they have to move a person, they bring those documents with them. That's very important. Another thing is, it brings to mind, I have an app on my phone that I list all my medications. I list all the conditions that I have, and I list my blood type. And one time, the 911 had to come to my house, and I just gave him my phone, and he was so happy to have that information. He said, everybody should have this on their phone. So you can put it on your phone, your medical information, not, just specific conditions you may have, your blood type, or any special needs you might have, or the medications that you take. And because that's valuable. That's like the same documents that the caregivers may have. You can have that information to give to whoever is rescuing you, your firefighters, if they come, the paramedics. And I keep a list also on a piece of paper in my wallet. So, and it has my emergency contacts on it, as well as my medical situation.
It's a lot like the old medical alert bracelets. You gotta have something along those lines which identify you when that time comes. And I think back to the 70s, and they still use the medical alert bracelets, but you do need to make sure that all of that paperwork and that continuity of quick care is there.
Yeah.
And remember, your papers can be scanned down and put on a thumb drive too. Just a thought there.
Right, exactly. Another thing, speaking of medical alert bracelets, tell your CERT teams if they see somebody with one of those bracelets, or they might have it around their neck, to make sure that they honor whatever is on their bracelet. They pay attention to that. If they have some kind of special condition that you need to be aware of, it'll be on the bracelet or on the thing around the neck, dependent.
Absolutely. And Rick Wood, did you have another comment that you wanted to kick in?
Yeah. Telephones have passcodes on them in order to have security. So relying on an application that has your medical information on there on your telephone may be compromised by the fact that you have a password or a passcode to access.
No, the app that I have can be accessed without the passcode.
Okay, that's an important consideration.
Yeah, it is.
Sure that is the case.
It can be accessed from the main screen without the passcode.
What's the name of it, Carolyn?
It's called In Case of Emergency.
ICE.
ICE. It's called ICE.
Yeah.
Dash In Case of Emergency.
Thank you.
And are there any other questions? Are there any other questions out there from
I have
from
a
the
comment.
great audience?
I have a
And Daryl, come up with your comment.
I have a medical alert bracelet, and the company that furnishes the bracelet will compile a PDF of everything of your medical history, your contacts, et cetera, and then you can put it on a USB drive. So you don't have to manually do it. The medical bracelet company has already provided a service for doing that. And it's not an extra charge. You just have to pay for the USB drive, which you can buy from them for a ridiculous amount of money, but you could also just go down to and buy something, it only has to be 4 megabytes at the most or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Also, that's a good idea. And also, I don't know about the other medical providers, but Kaiser, I can go online and download my medical history. In fact, I did, and I have it on a PDF file. So it's got all my medical information on it.
There are options out here, folks, and the idea, here's the common idea, and Carolyn, I think you'll agree with me. It's all preparation.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I have to use a phrase that I hear all the time, and we have to continuously plant that in our heads, that if we get to that morning of the disaster, we're just out of business. So every day that we don't have something happen in this city or in the country in which we live, get prepared. Do one thing every day. And it's like everything we've talked about is doable. There is things that I've learned tonight that I need to do, and I'm going to be getting on top of that ASAP. So just remember that it's all in the preparation.
Absolutely. And the one thing that you have to know, like you said, is planning ahead. You know, when I give emergency preparedness talks, I always start out with the only thing that you can depend on in a disaster is what you have, what you know, and what you're able to do, the resources at your disposal. What you have includes your equipment and supplies. And what you know is what you know, you're learning, what you're able to do. And what resources could be people around you that can help you, okay? Or information, you know, but only thing, but you have to have them immediately at your disposal. That's the key.
Yes.
The only thing you can depend on is what you have at your disposal right where you are. So think about what you have right where you are. What do you keep with you when you go out and about every day? What do you carry in your purse or in your pocket?
Yep.
You know, that's necessary to keep you alive.
Yep.
You know, what do you have in your car that will take you further than just what's in your purse or your pocket? What do you have at home that will take you further than what's in your car? You know, just think, I plan in stages like that.
And
on your person, in your vehicle, on your job, at home.
Exactly. And let's look at the list. Are there any other questions out there for everybody, for anybody, as we get ready to, we'll get ready to part if there are no other questions out there. So ask them now.
I would like to say something.
Johnny Gursky, go ahead.
How's everybody doing? Thank you very much, Carolyn. This is very great what you're doing.
Great. Thank you.
All the stuff you've been doing. I'm dealing with people bipolar. I know up to people up in the street, but it's up to the neighbors to make it the neighborhood team program.
Mm-hmm.
I am starting. It's not easy doing it. I have only 6 signatures, but yet I started going, who's got this equipment? Who's got that? I know there are people in apartments. There's 4 handicapped people over there. And I've been reaching out, how are we going to do this? This is things I'm working on. But what you're saying and everything is very important with the medication, dealing with people, not even bipolar. And somebody was bringing it up with animals. You know, animals are like the old people's pets.
Right, exactly.
And some of those and all that, the best thing I would say like that, well, if he's what are those rescue dogs? He should have a rescue thing on him. And not only that, he should have a dog tag where he lives at. All these dogs around there, I have a friend of mine, she works for someplace, but all these dogs right here on Gambier Street, where I live in 90032, I'm the West Region Director. I'm the West Region South of the CERT. You know, all the dogs got dog tags, and everybody knows dogs. And you know, dog's not going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
He might go hide, but he's not going to leave. The only time dogs really leave is when there's an earthquake. You know, but it's go ahead, Chad.
Oh, no. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, but it's very hard what everybody's saying. But yes, we have to work on that because, you know, I'm pretty sure an older person is not going to leave their dog behind. Because myself,
right.
I'm not going to leave my dog behind. I might go and take my wife or something or my kids, but it's just me, my wife, and my 3 dogs, 2 dogs and a cat. And they leave. They take off. They go and they come back. They know where they live at. But in the disaster, you never know. The dog, as long as, like what I'm saying, as long as we get the persons out there and let you know, we're going to send somebody back. We're aware of the situation that your ambulance there. Don't worry. Be calm. Somebody's going to go look at it. But at this time, we cannot do this because there's so many things happening. But we are not going to let you know. We will get back to you, you know. And that's how to call this calm situation now. But I would this is a very good presentation. Thank you very much. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. And that's a very good point.
And thank for all CERT members from wherever they come from. I know that we got them from all the way from Humboldt to New York and everybody that's from there. It's for everybody to do. You know, we're all from different areas and all that. We all got to work together.
Yes.
You know, I know he's on the south. I'm on the central. and we're all working together. You know, there's a couple of things going, but thank you very much. Very good presentation. Thank you very much.
And
Thank
Johnny,
you. And that's a very good point that you made, because the animals know where they live. They will come back home. So yeah, that's important. So if there's a person who is reluctant to leave without their animal and they must get out, you can reassure them that the animal will come back home. We'll go back and look for them. That's very good. Thank you for saying that.
The dogs have their instincts to do that, you know?
and Johnny, I want to jump in and say just one thing. I'll get to you, Annie, in just a second. Hang tight with me. There was a question out there. There is a question out there, but I want to say to Johnny very quickly, you've got about 6 people. Start with the 6 people you've got.
Yes.
So think about the old saying that we always say, start where you stand. If those 6 people, that is your team. Don't worry about getting the masses. It's like that will all come in time. And it may be a long time. Trust me, I can tell you it takes time. But start with those 6 people. Do not lose hope. Do not lose faith. Do not lose the mission. And
Well, go ahead, but I'm not losing hope, because when I got in 2019, there was only 2 of us. And now somebody graduated from this class, and there's another person graduated. There's another class coming in that somebody's going to graduate. So I'm going to make a team of 7.
Yeah, so you're growing.
There's places we can do, but yet I have to have them certified, and me at the same time. Then once we're certified, well, I've already been certified. We got to keep moving forward and get everybody involved, because all these little things right now, this is all knowledge, and knowledge is power.
Yes,
it is.
You know, and what you get, I'm not saying once you get the power, then you get the, you know, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that, yes, you know how many teams, and even Patrick knows how many people I got going right here, right now. And I was going to say this, but right now, with all these 6 people, I rank everybody because I was the first one. So it's my job to train them to get more and then get the more people involved. Elsa Community Garden, they're willing to put up what we can have over there for training right there with no cost at all. No cost to nobody. Just it's all about participation. I'm still working on that. As a matter of fact, I talked to her today. So all 3 members, keep up the good work. God bless everybody. I think I'm gonna my mouth. I'm gonna
Thank you.
and I'm gonna pull in. I am going to pull in Ms. Annie Hayden, who put in the chat. She says, "My hand was up. Nobody's seeing me here." Annie Hayden.
No, I think it wasn't working.
Your question.
Thank you, Chin. And Johnny, that's good news about the community garden in El Sereno. That's my hood. So that's awesome. This is probably super annoying, but I was thinking about the flash drives, and I also have documents on my own, like a thumb drive, and I keep it on my keychain. But then I started to think about what about for continuity of care, what happens when if it goes on really for 2 weeks or something, and there's no power, you can't even put it in a computer, or you need it in the moment and you can't. Is there any situation where you really will benefit from having it a hard copy?
Well, yeah, definitely a hard copy. I would recommend both a hard copy, put it in your emergency kit. I keep my originals in a safe deposit box at the bank. I keep hard copies in my emergency kit as well as on a thumb drive.
And, I would also say that if you do have a hard copy, hard copies are never going to go out of style, despite what they try to tell us. But if you have a hard copy, make sure you put that in that nice waterproof, bag or whatever it is, because, you just want to make sure that your go bag and your gear bag doesn't if it gets all wet, you don't want to lose that paperwork. The thumb drive can be valuable to you once you reach a center, let's say a Red Cross center or FEMA center. That's where it can actually prove its worth. So those are very good to have. But I'm with Carolyn all the way on this. Do it both ways. Do it the old-fashioned way with paper, and do it the new-fashioned way with the memory stick.
Good. Thank you so much, and thanks, Carolyn.
My pleasure.
Can I say something real quick?
Is that Johnny?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay, I would like to thank Annie, because I remember Annie, me, and even the first time I met you, That was at Rose Hill. We were in the back. We were doing a pop-up tent, and she was not even. Well, she was my partner, a team member. You know, right beside me, and she asked me, "Are you certified?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "I'm not." And I asked her, "This is how to get in." Thank you very much. Now she's graduated. It's going to be right beside me. Like you said, she's one of the 6 people that are on my team. Thank you, Annie.
And all it takes is one person to take that leap. And everybody here, I think we've had a good conversation tonight. It looks like we've got through questions. Are there any other questions out there? Because if not, I will release everybody a little bit early at like 8:30. But we've had a good, robust conversation here. Are there any last questions? If so, speak up.
Just one last comment. Just want to say thank you.
No, it's like we're done. Carolyn, you know I'm messing around with you. Go ahead.
I'm getting ready to reach through that and smack you upside your head. There you go. Just one last comment. Chen's my boy. Just one last comment. I just want to thank everybody for being here and for allowing me to share the information that I gathered, the information that I've had and what I've learned through being in CERT and from growing old. So yeah, keep up the good work, all of you. Chen's been doing a fantastic job at organizing the neighborhood teams, and I hope everybody, they get organized all over the city. And just keep up the good work and take care of your elders, take care of the anyone you know that has any special needs that you can find, and just look out for them and take care of them. And don't forget to ask permission to help, just like you would do if you're assisting someone who's injured. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And everybody, again, thank you for joining us. I know a lot of you guys are coming out of different time zones. And for those of you who are coming from Central and the East, God love you for being up this late. But, we thank you for joining us each and every month for these trainings. These are amazing trainings. And next month, Patrick will be here he will be back here hosting. He is the Ryan Seacrest of this kind of thing. I'm the Brian Dunkelman, who no one's ever heard of. Anybody who knows the beginnings of American Idol gets the joke. Don't worry about it if you don't. But I want to say to everybody tonight, thank you for joining us. We will be back here next month, and we will, for everybody who's asking about the resources, I will ask Patrick to get the resources out to everybody. Carolyn, we'll all coordinate to maybe get the deck out to those of you who have asked for it. We'll make some stuff happen for you. But that's it. Until next month, everybody, I just want to say as I part, keep your life safe out there. We live in some interesting times. Keep your head on a swivel and keep your situational awareness on high. If you just do that, you're 50% of the way there. Continue your CERT training, continue getting better at what you do. You are a very valuable resource. And I'm going to steal a phrase from Carolyn Burleson, who once said it. You can't put a value on volunteers. It's like our value. You can't put a dollar value on that, because we volunteer our time. We don't look for pay. So, Carolyn, I think I got that all backwards, but you know what I was trying to say. I try. So everybody have a great night, and be safe wherever you are on this planet. We'll see you back here next month.
Thank you.